Welcome back, everybody. As we are making our push towards Baton Rouge, Grant's two corps, led by Pope and Hooker, have become engaged with Huger's corps. So we'll jump into the battle and see what battlefield we get. Hopefully, by the end of this episode, we will have taken. Sorry, we've got the support button and tab checked. Looks like Virginia's starting to flip their support slowly. Tennessee, I'd like to see a little bit lighter pink. I think once we take Memphis back, that should do that. Arkansas, as you see, is neutral. Mississippi's going very light pink here. Georgia's starting to drop off. Louisiana, I think here in about a week, maybe 2 weeks, will be also similar to these other ones. See you on the battlefield. So we're bringing you back for the initial setup here. We are digging in a little bit. We did get lucky. We got the victory point well behind us here. Now, we're set up pretty far in front of where I typically would set up for a victory point like that. But there's a stone wall here. We didn't have very many um, dig in points, so we're going to take advantage of all of them. Now, they could cross all the way back here at Jones Ford and really put a problem on some things. My expectation is that they're going to come down the pike the way that they should, and potentially even the railroad. We'll bring you back as we find them, and it looks like it'll be after the end of the day. See you soon. So we're bringing you back because they have started to show up. Something I found interesting, you see also Hooker's corps starting to show up, and we're putting them on the entire flank of this enemy position. The thing I found interesting was that they took 900 overnight casualties. They keep harping on it, but it just means that their state support is atrocious. They took 6% casualties overnight. Most of their units have broken morale or pretty close to broken. Duke's Brigade is one of the only ones that's not, along with their artillery right now. But it's exhausted. So what we're going to do is we're going to put Hooker on their flank and press and attack. We're actually going to go ahead and go to assault with Pope. Hooker, we're also going to put on an assault. At this point, the goal is to wipe out as many units that they have as possible. Force some surrenders. If their morale's that bad and their state support's that bad, I'm betting we can cause a surrender or two. You see, it's nearly every unit took at least 100 casualties overnight. Now, they are coming off of, wow, 200 casualties overnight, one unit? A couple of them. They are coming off of a battle that they lost, so that could be part of it. But I would think that the game mechanics would have forced them to retreat upon seeing a much bigger enemy, but it doesn't seem that it has. As you can see, we are just getting after it now with moving people, getting prepared and ready to go. Hammond's going to hold the railroad line. Looks like a couple of their units are starting to recover from their long march. So, historical facts about John Pope, since we're going to start adding some information about some of the commanders that we're playing as. Pope had such great success in 1862 with the Army of Mississippi. He was under Halleck in control of one of the wings of the Army of the Mississippi, was successful in taking Island Number 10, and was part of the Corinth siege, the first one. But then, because of how successful he was, Lincoln called him to the east and named him the new commander of the Army of Virginia, which was only around for a very short period of time as an army. Its short and brief time as an army was fighting against the Confederates at Manassas, the Second Manassas. What are we doing, game? Why are we falling back? What is your obsession with being in the swamp? What is your... It's like your Shrek. What is your obsession? I don't understand it. Anyway, Pope, while he was in the East, was largely unsuccessful at Second Manassas, and then because of that, never really got another shot. He got transferred to the Minnesota and Dakotas territories to participate in some of the Indian wars going on there, the uprisings going on in those areas, and never really got another shot in the Civil War as a commander. So how about that? You know, you go 1861, you get put in charge of some things. 1862, you're incredibly successful. 1863, you're in some backwaters post somewhere that nobody's ever going to ever talk about again. He did get put in charge of the Department of Missouri in 1865 and had a brief period of time where he was in charge of one of the military occupation districts, I believe in Georgia, but was quickly replaced by Georgia. So, altogether, Pope went from one of the rising stars of the Union Army to a career military soldier that, while getting some big promotions, never got to be back in charge of active combat troops for the most part. Which, I mean, there's positives and negatives too, I suppose. It kept him out of the combat. He wasn't getting shot at typically, but still one of those that you feel like, you know, you would expect a guy that was that big a rising star to have a chance to come back after losing a battle. It's one battle. But that's how the Union Army did operate. So as you see, we're closing in quite heavily on everything that they're doing. Getting a little bit of lag here. I think the game is trying to catch up with how quickly a couple of their units just broke and disintegrated. So we'll slow down for a second to let the game get caught back up. You hear it's all of the different units marching to the battle with all their music being played. I think that's causing the slight issue, so we'll zoom out, try to let the game catch up. Typically this helps. Slowing it down a little bit. Those types of things tend to help. Enemies retreating. I haven't seen any notifications about surrendering anywhere, but we are getting them kind of tightly cornered in this pocket here. Maybe we get lucky and a group or two surrenders as we get them pinned in. They took about 500 casualties from actual combat. Most were from their overnight losses. As you see, their morale is shattered. We're going to try to force a couple of these units to surrender that are running through our lines for some reason. It's one of the things I don't understand about the retreat mechanic. They should all be running that direction. It's their only real path out, and any of them coming this way should realistically be surrendering. But, sometimes things don't work out that way. I think it's to make sure that the AI, when they do dumb things with their retreats, don't have everything surrender. So they lost about 1,700 men. It was 1,600, so maybe they surrendered a small unit there by the end of it. But it should force them out of Louisiana for, hopefully, ever. Huge discrepancy between their losses and ours. But again, they took about 600 to 900 overnight. See you back on the campaign screen. Alright, so we're bringing you back. Oh, we're getting a notice about a disintegration. Maybe it was Huger's whole corps. It was. I wonder where they're going to pop up. I really don't know where they're going to pop up. Huh. Alright, so we'll get back to... It's the third time I've gotten that notification, just for reference. Sometimes when you fight battles right as those notifications are happening, they keep popping up so you make sure you do not miss them. Alright, the support thing is driving me a little bit. Alright, there we go. My knowing where the front lines is, OCD was kicking in. Here's the scary part. They have Crittenden's brother is up in Cincinnati. All this is going on down here, and you're like, yeah, let's pull troops and go to Cincinnati. Wouldn't have been my first choice, but again, you gotta do what you gotta do. In the east, what we're going to look at is pushing Lew Wallace just a little bit further forward. See if we can pull some more troops to defend Richmond. He can't take Richmond. It's just, he doesn't have the men. If all those troops come rushing at him, he immediately is going to be wiped out. But what we can do is start crossing the Rapidan River with most of our troops and waiting to see if anybody moves to protect Richmond. Building a fort there for a retirement home for some of our officers. Clarendon's corps is moving closer to position. We'll go to speed 2. We're still inching ever closer in Ohio, in the Army of Ohio. Stick Meade over here so that if we do get in a fight, he'll be slightly closer to the fight. Good naval battle taking place. Yeah, I think that's our big navy over there. We'll be okay. Hey, we're getting some officers back from their wounds. We just built a prison camp, but we might need another one as the way things are going. And how far do I have to zoom in here to get a prison camp? Oh, already got one there. That would be the problem. Prison camp up next to Lake Ontario. That'll be nice and cold for them. Alright, we disintegrated one of their squadrons. Did they take Cincinnati and then cross into Covington? They did. This is silly. Alright, so we'll have to retake Cincinnati. Hopefully we get to attack them and maybe disintegrate them completely also. Getting a lot of results here. It's a lot of small naval battles. It doesn't look like Wallace was able to pull anybody forward or towards him. I can't even click on him. It's incredulous. Yeah, we lost at Fort Arbuckle again. It makes no sense. We get close to taking it, and then everything goes to crap. We run out of supply, and we're reinforcing the Department of Kansas, and we will take Arbuckle the next time. Hopefully. Okay, so Hooker and Pope have made it to Baton Rouge. That should split the Confederacy in half. Not quite where we want it to be split at Memphis, but split nonetheless. There we go. Alright, that's what we've been waiting on, is the Crittenden duel. Thomas Crittenden and I believe Brother George. Yeah, pretty positive. The true brother versus brother. It looks like we just took Shreveport. So the Confederacy and Baton Rouge. The Confederacy is cut in half now. You see that? Well, not really in half. I mean, part of Texas is even taken, but we can take Memphis and then flush those guys down. We can take Corinth. I would call it half at that point. We are going to go after this Indian army as well, but since we're ready to fight this battle, we're just going to go ahead and jump right on in. We do outnumber them nearly 4-1, so it should hopefully be a quick battle. Alright, so we got the Springfield map, which I, in all honesty, was wondering if I was going to get that map again. There are some campaigns where I feel like I'm stuck on this map for decades. Feels like every battle is on this map. It's kind of how I feel about New Orleans right now. Feels like every battle is in New Orleans. But luckily, I've had a couple different maps. Um, but there's been some campaigns where it's crossing this river just becomes like Fredericksburg is what it feels like, is they're set up all over the place, whether you're the Confederates or the Union, and it just is a slog no matter which side of the army you're on. You're trying to use railroad, and either way, we are gonna press our advantage and hopefully get to, looks like the Bitter Creek and the Bitter Crest. We do have a numbers advantage. I believe most, if not all, of their troops are in their first battle, versus most of ours are not. Uh, we're going to sprint them up a little further. So we'll bring you back as we start to find them. I'm anticipating either they're at these railroad tracks where we just tried to march to, or they're going to be up along this line with a smaller force. They may use the creek back here. I'm not really sure. We'll find out. Well, good news and bad news. We did successfully end up finding them. Bad news is they dug in right across from the river that I was talking about as being a major fighting location typically, and they dug multiple trenches at both crossing points. Our cavalry was able to stop their extreme advance before reaching the enemy and are able to fire with superior weapons. These guys must have really bad guns because they're not even firing at us right now from the other side of the bank. Um, Looks like they're trying to consolidate all of their forces. Yeah, we put Crittenden on an attack stance to try to get him to slow people down. Some fun facts about Thomas Crittenden is we are fighting his brother, George Crittenden. They picked opposite sides during the Civil War because Kentucky was a border state. Let's actually get out of the. You guys, what? What are we doing, guys? So Crittenden led a division at Shiloh, and then takes a lot of blame at Chickamauga for some of the failures. He and Alexander McCook get blamed for Chickamauga not going well, and then he kind of gets relegated from there. He eventually gets sent east as a brigade commander, or it's kind of vague. I'm not sure if it was a true brigade or if he was just kind of there in a advisory type of role. But after the Battle of Spotsylvania, there's a handful of commanders that are wounded, killed, etc. And Crittenden, with his rank and experience, is actually put in charge of a division in the Army of the Potomac. But then he resigns in late 1864 during the Petersburg siege. So I'm taking it to mean that either he was forced to resign, or took it as an insult that he wasn't being thought of for higher positions. Can't prove any of that, but it's just kind of, maybe he just realized the war was coming to an end. Could be a lot of things. So we'll wait and try to get them all set up. You'll see here that our skirmishers are getting kicked out. Our cavalry did fall back. It is their first battle, but most of our other troops are seasoned a little bit. I think they've had one battle. They did take Knoxville, so there's one right there that is not. They only have old muskets. We're going to take whatever division this is over here, maybe two divisions, and rush across the other side to flank their artillery that is here, because there's quite a bit of it. We do need to let our morale get caught up a little bit because we have some units that are not doing great from a morale standpoint. We're going to send these units across the ford in an attempt to take it as quickly as possible. We're sending Lucas's cavalry this direction to try to flank around the other side. Henry Hunt, typically an artillery commander. Fighting spirit's 100%, but unit started broken, so oops. It's less than helpful, less than ideal. So it looks like we are forcing them back already with just skirmishers. They're firing through this mill. You hear the windows breaking. Now we have some artillery on the field. Hopefully these skirmishers can give us a little bit of time before they break. Maybe take some of this artillery out. 5 guns, 5 guns. We can take some of the artillery out. Well, yeah, looks like we're getting them before they realize we're there. So Crittenden has sent Wolford in to try to cross the ford and draw the attention of the infantry while we also try to flank them from the other side. We're trying to get some troops across to flank. Right now it's 1 unit, and they're exhausted. It's a steep climb up that ford. We are taking a lot of their artillery out, which will make it a little bit more of a fair fight, trying to cross that ford, not going into canister and whatnot. Quite a bit of cavalry here. Cook just refuses to cross. If we take out Morgan's artillery there, I think that will be all of their artillery wiped from the field. We've got multiple brigades. Stuck in the crossing now. Trying to let Sullivan regain a little bit of his composure. His guys are all tired. If we can see through the smoke. We will not call Crittenden great at the old positioning artillery right now. We're going to charge Loomis up. It may go very poorly. He may surrender. But we got to get out of this creek bed, and if we can occupy them long enough, we should be able to throw fire into them from the rear. We're making a go of it. I think most of their men must be in their first battle. They're breaking fairly quickly. Where you at, Cook? Come on, man. Get up here. Wolford's going to be engaged in charge with multiple units. He's going to lose. It's just a matter of he's going to lose. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they're all first battle units and they'll break, but he'll probably surrender. He's pretty overwhelmed. I don't even see him. I think he must have surrendered. Yep, Wolford surrendered. We said that was a possibility. In reality, they wouldn't be able to get too much of a surrender from us because they're in northern Kentucky and quickly going to be routed, hopefully. Okay, these guys need to fire. Trying not to charge again, but we're just not shooting. Enemies retreating. Wolford was able to help with that charge. I think he was wounded, and his men must have snuck him back, the ones that were able to get away, because it didn't say that he was captured, but maybe he's both. So we took a lot of casualties there, but we won. We're going to keep pursuing them up into Cincinnati. I would assume they retreat back there. We're going to pursue them as quickly as possible. See you back on the campaign screen. So we're back on the campaign screen. We suffered 2,500 casualties, but a good chunk of those were from Wolford. If we go check Crittenden's Corps, how's he doing? Well, those guys from Kentucky aren't making it out of Kentucky. 24 men. It'll be time to reorganize that group and throw a new unit in there. We'll shove whatever's left of those men into another unit real quick. Anybody else from Kentucky around here? Nope. So we can't shove them into another unit, but we will call in their reinforcements. Oh, we're set by support. And if they're still around by the time we get this other unit, we will put them into that brigade. Anybody from Kentucky? Here we go. We got somebody. Cram. George Cram. We do need to replace Wolford also. Horatio Van Cleve is going to get the honorable duty of being in charge of 24 men. Alright, let's get back to it. Like I said, I assume they move directly to Cincinnati. And we are going to follow as fast as humanly possible. They're bringing reinforcements in, it looks like. I'm assuming that's transfers from other units. Bragg's Corps we last saw literally 10 months ago. Not sure where they are. Dixon Miles, not defamed anymore. And not wounded anymore. But I think he might be old enough that we can retire him. Nope, not quite. Almost. So we will still have Dixon Miles to put with a brigade. Joy. 22 days, and Curtis will attack that Indian army here. Asbeth is going to get up to core strength, and in 33 days, go back to Fort Arbuckle again. Lyon has Shreveport, and we're going to probably hold him there. I'm not really sure what they'll do. I don't think I've taken Shreveport this early before. You see that they're trying to recruit some troops over here. We'll have to search and destroy that unit. I'm not sure where they ended up. Probably around the Dayton area. We'll have to chase them down and try to fight them again very quickly. Once we retake Cincinnati, they should then be completely out of supply. Yeah, they're in Dayton, trying to build a supply depot in 14 days. That'll be quick. As we retake Cincinnati, we're gonna go into Dayton and hopefully disintegrate them. They should be without supply. Alright, we did succeed in pulling some troops down to defend Richmond. Can we move the first corps a little bit closer? First and second corps? I think the answer is yes. I'm really just trying to avoid another fight in the wilderness. I'm going to be totally honest. I don't like that map. Historically, we wouldn't have enjoyed fighting there. So we're going to keep trying to slowly push forward. While staying in range of McClellan. So that way we can all reinforce each other. Now that we've taken Baton Rouge, we're going to send Hooker up to Memphis. He's going to take the rails up to Memphis. We'll leave Pope and Grant here to support the Army of the South. We might actually even make, I think that's just officially a corps. If it's just a corps, we're going to make them part of the Army of the Mississippi real quick. Yep. Now that our supply lines can be linked, we're going to make that a corps in the Army of the Mississippi, which will allow for better reinforcing. It's the 23rd Corps, so we'll make this the 24th Corps. And just like that, now we have another corps in the Army of the Mississippi. They were already basically there, but it's a title change only. Once those forts recover, hopefully we can take Fort Pike and Fort Macomb back and start pressing some of our other advantages. Here, Crittenden, let's go track down your brother. You see that their loyal states is down to 12. If we do a quick math, 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5, 6, 7, probably 8, 9. It's probably most of the Confederacy, but I think it's dropping quick in a handful of places. We're going to look at Occupation Administration. I like the idea of doing more civil order, but I think we're doing okay right now on state support. 92, 90, 83. Pennsylvania's at 89. New York's at 89. I think we're doing okay right now. Maybe another battle or two, we might need that, but alright, how are we doing here, Buell? Can we get an attack? We're going to try to move Buell up just ever so slightly. variety of his units trying to hopefully join in. Crittenden should hopefully engage his brother momentarily. Potentially even disintegrate them. Nope, we're back fighting them again. That's alright. We're going to just keep beating them slowly. See you back on the battlefield. Alright, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30, and it looks like they've completely escaped our dug-in line. We got the defensive, but they appear to have known exactly where we were. Always a bummer. So, luckily we had set up a division, Landrum's division, already over here in the woods protecting that flank. And we went ahead and kept Stedman in position to... Oh, no, that's not what we wanted there, Stedman. Wrong thing. To defend this flank from what appears to be a bunch of cavalry. And what looks like some skirmishers coming our direction. Now they're shifting their lines completely. I'm not sure what they're doing. We shift, so they magically know that we shifted. One of those types of things. Brought our artillery back, and now our artillery's going to be useless. So now we're swinging back to our original positions. Lucas's men that are now not in their first battle, just days, literally I think one day after their first battle, and now their morale's perfectly fine. They're ready. We're trying to throw some skirmishers at them in hopes of slowing down their incredible flanking maneuvering that they're doing, so that we can get back in position. Van Cleve's up to 79 men. Look at that. Alright. Lucas, let's move towards those guys. And enemies retreating already. Not sure what caused the quick retreat, but we'll take it. Hopefully that causes them to disintegrate completely. If not, we'll have to keep chasing them around Ohio for the foreseeable future. They didn't take very many casualties. 150 casualties. Most of it looks like it was artillery. Well, 50 artillery or 20 artillery casualties, but it was 10 guns. 100 cavalry, 30 infantry. We had 106 casualties. We'll probably have to keep chasing them around. Maybe we get lucky and they disintegrate. Well, unfortunately, we didn't get a notice that they disintegrated. So we'll be chasing them around Ohio. One of the mechanics that I really dislike about the game is that they could retreat all the way up here without supply or anything else. So we'll chase them down, but it's going to take some time. How's McPherson doing? Is he ready to... It's getting close. 37 days. He'll be ready soon. How about Keys? 62 days. Yeah, he's a little farther. Might help when he gets those reinforcements in a couple of days. Alright, they are retreating south. So we'll let them get a little bit of a head start, and then we will chase them south. There is a lot of corps here. Looks like Greg's corps is kind of moving away from the front line. So what we might do is push a little... Once Greg's corps starts moving a little bit closer to Richmond, we might push on Rains and Anderson's corps here and try to force them into a bigger defense of Nashville. Or not Nashville, Richmond. Wow. Need some coffee. Banks, 14 days from getting all of his transfers. Nelson and Buell have arrived. We're getting ready to have a heavy campaign season in the summer, is my assumption. First things first is we're going to try to engage in Nashville area. We're going to move just a little bit further down the road. That's going to be the initial attempt. Then we're going to try Virginia. I'm not sure where these guys are going to. Trying to let them just do their thing for a minute, but maybe our ship was in the way. Solve that problem. Maybe they're moving. I don't know. We'll have to figure out where they end up. There we go. There's the fight we're looking for. It's relatively even as far as fights go. We slightly outnumber them. But this should be a nice little battle to hopefully push them out of northern Tennessee. Hopefully it forces them south to places like Corinth instead of going west to Memphis. If they go to Memphis, then we'll have another fight on our hands. But since we are running out of time, we will get to this major battle next time. See, there are a couple small cores left.